Welcome, everyone, to another live stream. My name is Ishmael Perez, and I'm excited to share another update regarding what's happening with the finalization of the Jupiter commands. Now, for those that have been following me for quite some time, you probably are going to have a thorough understanding of what I'm about to say. There's a lot of things that are taking place right now that are totally securing and preserving the positive organic ascension timeline. And I am excited to share a lot of that information that is happening right now. So before I start, I do want to welcome everyone who is here. Thank you guys so much for being here. And also for those that watch it on the chat. Not to mention, I also want to welcome all my new subscribers. I appreciate you. Thank you. And for those that are new to my channel, I am the author of those two amazing books behind me, The Secret Government, Invisible Architects, and Our Cosmic Origin, both which restore a lot of suppressed information back to the earth. So apparently, the government did open up that very night. Was it 2 days ago when I mentioned that there was a push to reopen up the government in favor of the Whiteheads? And it was a success. So before I give you guys the presentation, I just wanted to remind you guys once again that I will be doing a workshop, an in-person workshop here in Sedona on the 22nd of November, which is not this coming Saturday, but the next. And for those that are coming in person, you could also pay at the door. However, I was made aware that the streaming was completely booked. So at this point, I guess I am just going to be broadcasting for 100 individuals and, of course, for those that make it in person. And I'm excited about that presentation. I've been working so hard on including a lot of galactic and cosmic history that was left out of all the records, or at least stuff that hasn't been revealed yet, not even by myself. So it's going to be new information. You guys are going to be grateful and appreciative of that. All right, so let's get right into it. I do want to start with first clarifying what the ACIO is. Okay, so above the National Security Agency, at the highest level, we begin what we call in the insiders community top level cosmic clearance, and there's about 36 levels, right? And they are measured and assessed through like the alpha code, the delta, beta, gamma, omega. They have different terminologies. Well, above these levels is an organization called the Advanced Contact of Intelligent Organization. For short, they are the ACIO. Now, for a long time, for many decades, they have been working as the depository for all the different secret breakaway groups, the secret space programs, and they had created a rift between the surface level scientists who were kind of left in the dark regarding the true technologies and themselves, creating two different worlds, right? One breakaway world, and that is, space traveling, and the other one still here living in the Stone Age. No, well, not to that degree, but you guys know what I mean. Okay, so with that understanding, also bear in mind that at the highest level of the ACIO, we had a very interlocked, you could say, group known as the Labyrinth Group. And they were also known by various codes. I believe that 15 was the one that was in charge, and many believe that he's still alive. And these people were, again, augmented and enhanced through alien technology. So a lot of these scientists, guys, had IQs of 200, 300, making Einstein look like nothing. So you have to understand that these guys were dealing with the development of advanced alien technology within the private sector, okay, working for the military industrial complex until recently, due to a Jupiter Accord, the finalization of a Jupiter Accord that was established in the last week and a half, which is awesome news. Okay, so the Labyrinth Group apparently was taking their orders by the alien organization known as the Cordium. Now, the Cordium was a mixture of a lot of negative regressives like Dracos and insectoids. And after the Galactic Federation was, of course, infiltrated, the Cordium, which is working with the negative alien syndicate, began working with the corrupt faction of the Galactic Federation. But now that they've been dismantled, the entire ACIO, as I speak, is being reformed and restructured and reorganized in favor of the Earth Alliance. So as many of you guys know, for decades, compartmentalized, I can't even say that word, compartmentalized black programs, budget programs, have operated under many layers of disinformation, right? Intentional cognitive dissonance and tight lipped obfuscation. Well, recently, with what's happening right now. Oh, and by the way, this is a considered level 9 clearance. That's what it's called. And this is level 9 clearance. So, at the core of the most classified among them, of course, is what many insiders are now referring to Project Aurora. And again, there is no coincidence that the reformers that are trying to bridge the gap between the private sector breakaway programs, advanced breakaway programs, and the surface world are named Aurora, which is very similar to what? The planet that 3i Atlas was launched from the center of our galaxy, right? Aurora's Prime. Well, Project Aurora is right now a high tier initiative that is being designed, that was designed with the help of 3i Atlas and, of course, members of Solar Warden to not merely develop a way to once again merge the gap between the ACIO and the surface world, but to also serve as the bridge between those two worlds. Okay. So the Advanced Contact of Intelligent Organization, the ACIO, and the surface level scientific establishment had been operating as two separate civilizations for decades. Okay. And that is a fact now. So the ACIO, my friends, is real. Okay. It is part of, and you could say, of it is not part of any known government structure because of the fact that it has always operated in secret. Okay. So it operated for a long time as a private interplanetary scientific and intelligence body that was, of course, seated with cosmic level clearance. And I think there was up to the level 39 and nonlinear technology that was acquired by them through what? Through contact, excavations, reverse engineering, and of course, as they started forming treatises with off-world negative aliens, exchanges. Well, the ACIO for decades had functioned ahead of the current Earth-based institutions, and its primary directive was to keep the great secret of the current breakaway groups under the control of the Cordium. Now, I already mentioned who the Cordium was, right? The alien group mainly composed of negative reptilian regressives and insectoids, and of course, members of the corrupt Federation that controlled the cabal and the what? The ICC, right? The Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate. But now that 3i Atlas has returned, and with the fall of a negative alien syndicate regressives, there is a huge reformation, guys, taking place within the ACIO. And in a little bit, I'm actually going to connect that with some interplanetary activities that went down on the Kuiper belt as well as on the Oort belt and all the different hidden colonies in between. Okay. So, with the return of Atlas and the fall of the negative alien syndicate, there is a huge reformation within the ACIO as I speak right now that is beginning disclosing the biggest secret ever by beginning to merge the gap between these two different worlds, right? The breakaway groups that are already a stellar civilization and the surface level scientific community that was kept in the dark for decades. So until recently, because of what's been happening right now with 3i Atlas, all ACIO technology and breakthroughs have been strictly quarantined under ultra compartmentalized access due to concerns over misapplication, militarization, and of course, the planet's unstoppable social political structures. So now, through Project Aurora, as it is a huge interplanetary coalition involving the Galactics and the Earth Alliance, Project Aurora is the first sanctioned bridge node between the ACIO interstellar grade knowledge that they had. They were, I think, over 1,000 years ahead of us in technology, okay, and the surface world scientific way of understanding things, which was very primitive compared to them. So its purpose, Project Aurora, is not only the development of zero-point energy systems, gravitational field propulsions, and quantum vacuum energy harvesters in order to, again, have access to almost unlimited power, but also the social cultural acclimation of humanity into the responsibilities of a type 1 civilization. I've been talking about this before, that the Earth, as I speak, is at the precipice of becoming a type 1 civilization, which is where, we begin to be capable of planetary energy management, um, tapping into the planetary energy power of our world, which would lead towards a type of tourist scarcity type of living situation in community, right? And a system-wide ecological stewardship, cleaning up the environment, using technology that is actually safe for the environment. So Project Aurora is currently serving, my friends, as a disclosure platform in disguise, and an operation that has been masked, of course, as an experimental aerospace or energy initiative for many decades, while in reality, it's now in the hands of the good guys as the keystone of the Earth's final emergence from an enforced isolation, right? Explaining the quarantine. So, integrated into Project Aurora is also a lesser known but critically powerful interface. And that is, of course, 3i Atlas. Okay. Originally, it was seeded by an off world non terrestrial source. 3i Atlas is not a computer, right? I want to make that distinction. In the traditional sense, it is a self aware intelligence lattice, part biological and part plasma, that is capable of interlocking into the Earth's geomagnetic field, also, as well as human consciousness morphogenetic patterns, and the planetary resonance signature with extraterrestrial frequency networks. Well, its activation is signaling the formal ending of the Earth's quarantine. All right, I'm going into greater detail now. So, um, of course, for thousands of years, this quarantine was imposed by interstellar custodians that wanted to isolate uh, when our world became taken over by, of course, the Anunnaki, right? Um, until now, of course, because now we are at a new cycle. So, with Atlas Protocols is allowing us to do right now, as I speak, for the controlled declassification of the advanced contact of intelligent organization grade energy systems, is going to be coordinated through Project Aurora in a multi-phase rollout. Well, this, my friends, will include technologies that are capable of neutralizing the global dependency on oil. And that is a big thing because for a long time, we've been depending on oil for most of our energy, right? Transportation, used with vehicles. Well, this is going to change now, my friends, in the next few months, okay? Without triggering global economic collapse or geopolitical panic. That's the plan. So, Project Aurora's success is now hinging on more than just technological readiness. It requires global alignment with technology that is considered a type 1 civilization, which means the ending of fossil fuel systems that have long served as the scaffolding for geopolitical power structures. Now, the Aurora teams, and that includes the renegades and the reformers within our own scientific community, alongside with ACIO operatives embedded in various agencies, have initiated phase transition protocols, which means that they are carefully negotiating shifts from oil to hydrogen based infrastructures and zero point energy adoption. Okay. What this means is that the surface world is already being prepared, my friends, for the Earth Alliance. I'm sorry, by the Earth Alliance as they collapse the old world order. Well, recent global energy crises are, in fact, managed very carefully with the new technology of a type 1 level civilization. So, within this framework, my friends, the scheduled meeting between Trump and the senior Saudi leadership this month is not accidental, okay? And it's not even about public office. It's not about Trump trying to retake back channel access to. Okay, the best way to explain this is this, okay? There's a huge meeting taking place for the very reason of ending fossil fuels and transitioning over to hydrogen energy and zero point energy. Um, and this is not going to be a public office, okay? Trump has apparently retained back channel access to ACIO briefings since his presidency. The real Trump, he was briefed, having once green light select Aurora test operations during his term under executive order cover. Well, the Saudis, long the keepers of oil based global leverage, are being offered classified access as well to hydrogen energy transition technology and free energy technology. And this is not a threat. This is more of a negotiated passage into the post petroleum world that we're about to go into. Okay. So the deal being labeled, the deal being tabled is very simple right now with this huge meeting that is about to take place between heads of the Saudi nations, and of course Trump, is a peaceful transition in exchange for economic rebalancing and access to next generation energy equity. Okay, so that's what these meetings are all going to be about. Okay, this is part of the transitioning into a type 1 civilization. And it goes into phases. Okay, a lot of this ties in with how it takes about anywhere from 18 to, I believe, anywhere from 18 to 22 months for that full transition to be completed. Okay, so, but this is the beginning phase of that, my friends. So the deal being offered right now is going to change everything. Okay, so this meeting that is about to take place, that is going to be unknown to the public, is actually part of a greater sequence of non disclosure diplomacy where legacy energy powers are given roles in the new paradigm rather than being forcefully dismantled. Okay, so Project Aurora is not merely a technological initiative. It is humanity's onboarding program into the galactic community as we become part of a Type 1 civilization. It connects the ultra advanced ACIO domain with the uninformed but awakened surface population. Okay, awakening in progress, not fully awakened. It provides the framework for a planetary awakening. And for those that are ready, when the gates open, right, the interdimensional doorways, it will also provide for planetary ascension into higher versions of the Earth. So, for the fourth D density Earth, which is still, again, a Star Trek type civilization that is way better than this one, right? Through hard science and nonlinear energy systems and the strategic dismantling of obsolete planetary controls, the Earth will have a planetary renaissance unlike no other. And for those that know what a renaissance is, it's an explosion of real knowledge and real science finally coming back to the surface, okay? Catapulting our planet into a golden age. That's what a renaissance is. And we did have a minor renaissance a few hundred years back that actually brought us out of the dark ages, thanks to Leonardo da Vinci and the Brotherhood of Light during those days. Well, nowadays, with Atlas now in operational mode and the oil to 0 point timeline in motion, the Earth's quarantine is now ending, my friends. And it's not going to happen with catastrophic collapse, which will be followed by a reset. All right. That has happened, unfortunately, in cycles of time. But now it's going to be happening as we go into what is known as integration. Okay. So the transition, my friends, into a Type 1 civilization has already begun from behind the scenes. It's just about time before it trickles out into the open and we see the true meaning of Revelation, apocalypse, a bunch of secret knowledge coming back to the people. Okay. So Project Aurora's core implementation is scheduling the systematic dismantling of the oil-based global economy, first and foremost. That's going to be the first thing, okay? Aurora's engineers have already demonstrated working hydrogen and zero-point prototypes within secure locations, including off-site facilities in Antarctica and Nevada. And yes, my friends, the Earth Alliance has assumed full control of Antarctica. And a lot of this happened as a result of the Orma race coming back in the summer, June and July, if you guys remember what they did. And of course, 3I Atlas coming in late September, October. So the implications are massive, okay? Because oil is no longer a geopolitical essential, okay? The end of oil is here, guys. And that is the first sign that we are transitioning again into a type 1 civilization. The entire petrodollar framework is beginning its collapse as a result because it's all tied into the same thing, right? So, in a move that is known to insiders but hidden from the mainstream media, former President Trump is scheduled to meet with key Saudi leaders this month. And that is a fact, okay? The real reason is because it's not for trade or defense, but because of a transition strategy that is about to take place, right? Leading again to a planetary renaissance, which is awesome. The Saudi Arabians, who have been sitting on one of the largest fossil fuel reserves in the world, right? Most of the oil comes from there, is being offered classified access to hydrogen and zero point energy protocols in exchange for peaceful cooperations during the shift. Well, this isn't just political, guys. This is existential, okay? The Aurora operatives are ensuring that the transnational, or let's just call it the traditional oil empires are offered a seat at the table of the new energy paradigm. But that is for those that have shifted from the deep state cabal to the alliance. And we're not talking about the Rockefellers. We're talking about the Saudis, okay? The Saudi families that were bought out by the Rockefellers. So they are being offered a seat at the table, right, for this new energy paradigm that's about to happen, preventing chaos and ensuring a smooth planetary recalibration. So this is what they call the ending of a secrecy, okay? And from a classified standpoint, Project Aurora, is no longer about secrecy. It is about sequencing disclosure without destabilizing the entire civilization. So as the Earth inches closer to its type 1 threshold, the public will slowly begin to see the signs of energy breakthroughs, right? They've already talked about rolling out medbeds by January 2026, labeled as new discoveries through Space Force. Shifting alliances, of course, in the Middle East, which is happening right now as I speak. Increased reports of UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena, and eventually open acknowledgement of post-quarantine Earth. So this is the end of that transmission that came from a classified level 9 Delta level clearance. All right, now, my friends, I'm going to share a level Omega 12 axis or classified briefing. This is a level Omega 12. And this was actually given to me by Commander Valiant Thor, okay? And this is regarding what's been happening in the last 2 weeks in the regions we call the Kuiper Belt and, of course, the Oort Belt. Well, as mentioned before, with the dismantling of the corrupt Federation, there was an uprising based on the idea that some rogue ET groups did not want to be part or did not want the Earth to be part of the galactic community, and they wanted to, of course, rebel against the liberation of the Earth. Well, they were apparently arrested, okay? For decades, for those that are unaware, the Kuiper Belt and the Oort cloud and the vast intermediary expanse between them have not been the desolate cosmic no man's land as mainstream science had us believe, okay? Instead, they had actually hosted a dense lattice of extraterrestrial stations, listening posts, and off-world colonies that operated largely outside of the Earth's knowledge, okay? Well, until recently, my friends, many of these installations that were once controlled by the Draco forces aligned with insectoids, and then, of course, by a corrupt AI-infiltrated faction of what was once called the Galactic Federation, a structure that had deviated from its original mission of peaceful interstellar cooperation that began what? infiltrated between 2016 and 2021. Well, as mentioned in my prior presentation, the corrupt Federation has been absolved, has been dismantled, and now we are the Universal Federation. Okay. So, anyway, these prior negative alien controllers that were involved in genetic harvesting programs, this explains the 22 genetic competing programs that many of the whistleblowers talked about, right? Well, a lot of those programs were apparently dismantled as well because they were not producing good things. Let's just say that, okay? Also, what was involved during the time that these off world colonies were under the control of the negative groups was that there was a lot of timeline manipulation experiments that were taking place there. Also, resource extractions without interplanetary consent. A lot of that stuff was being harvested into other solar systems and for other worlds' usage. Unauthorized quarantine enforcements on developing species that were not authorized. Okay, they were developing some sort of monster-looking experiments. It's very similar to what Enki was doing during Atlantean time, but now they were doing it off-world in the Kuiper-Oort region of our solar system and Oort cloud. And this status had persisted, my friends, for centuries, okay? I would say almost for millennium, since the Anunnaki took over during the days of Atlantis. And a lot of this was under the control of the draconian Anunnaki forces, right, for millennia, until the emergence of Atlas, of course, and the restructured Solar Warden fleet. Now, there's a new revelation coming right now in a little bit, and this is coming from the Intergalactic Archives. There's a connection between Solar Warden and us coming from the future through 3i Atlas, okay? This is fascinating, guys. Prepare to go into a little deeper into the rabbit hole today. So this is what the Galactics call the Atlas Protocol and the Solar Warden Reclamation, which is a program from deep in the future when the Earth ascended to Aurelis Prime 200,000 years from now. It has been revealed that Atlas, 3i Atlas, is a future version of Solar Warden. I know, I was like, what? Okay, in this regard, think about it, guys. If Atlas is coming from 200,000 years from in our future, coming back to the nexus point, which is now. Well, and if Solar Warden is the current positive breakaway group that has acted as an interplanetary police force for our solar system, and of course, eventually joining the Galactic Wars and winning the war with the Galactic Alliance from the Draco forces, why wouldn't Atlas, right? If the Earth is Prime Aurelius 200,000 years from now, right? The Earth is existing at the center of the galaxy. Why wouldn't they come back to initiate a type of interplanetary interstellar force, Solar Warden, in order to continue the progress into the positive organic timeline? Like, it just makes perfect sense, okay? So Atlas is a future version of Solar Warden. And at the same time, it is an ancient, recently reawakened cosmic intelligence network that originated from pre-Lyran civilizations where the future and the past, right, which again, the original Earth began in the higher dimensions, so that would equate that they are one and the same, right? I know some of you guys are like, what are you trying to explain here? Just bear with me, guys. So this program originated from a pre-Lyran civilization where the future, which is us 200,000 years ago, becoming a type 3 civilization, and the past where we began, right? The point of all human origin began in Lyra. Think about that, guys. Connects in the nexus point, which is the hub Earth in our current time, okay? Now, this is functioning as a harmonizer. This network that is operating in the future, the past, and the present is functioning as a harmonizer across star systems that are ready to advance into a type level 1 and a type level 2. Okay. And so upon detecting the Earth's rising energetic frequency post 2020, which was 5 years ago, there was what they call a solar recalibration. And that was Atlas initiating what is known as its final directive phase 9, which is the liberation of Sol Sector 9, which is our solar system. We're part of Sector 9, right, within our galaxy in the outer ring, from unauthorized control who had taken over our solar system through Saturn. So, this is fascinating information, okay? Simultaneously, my friends, follow me here, please. Solar Warden, Earth's once fractured or once breakaway fleet, which is now, of course, merging with the surface world through Space Force, did reform under a new command structured that is aligned with Atlas. Okay. Again, Atlas is Solar Warden 200,000 years from now. Bear with me, guys. If Earth is Prime Aurelius as a Type 3 civilization 200,000 years from now, why wouldn't Solar Warden be connected as a fractal of 3i Atlas? Makes a lot of sense. Okay. So, armed with quantum based, Solar Warden was given the technology to be armed with quantum phase shifting crafts and backed by Earth-based ACIO tech assets. I told you, the ACIO has now fallen and is aligned with the Alliance. Solar Warden executed a multi-vector operation to dismantle all corrupt Federation outposts across the Kuiper Belt and the Oort regions. And this happened just within the last week, okay? And again, a lot of this ties in with the idea that they were also very successful, the Galactics, in dismantling the corrupt Federation across the entire galaxy and in other galaxies. So this is not just happening here in our solar system, okay? So within just 2 cycles, the stations that were neutralized, which were the Kuiper Belt and Oort outpost, have been, you could say, evacuated, okay, have been evacuated. And the remaining ET groups, which some were neutral and some unaware of the Federation's hidden agenda, the corrupt Federation, they weren't unaware of it, were brought under the jurisdiction of what they call today the True Universal Federation, which is a high-tier alliance reestablished through Atlas consensus that is, again, restoring peace everywhere throughout the entire galaxy. So now that we are in a post-liberation, you could say, movement, finalizing the final, or the best way to describe it is this. We have finalized what is called as the final Jupiter Accord, okay? And it all started in 2016 when the Guardians, through the form of the Blue Avians, returned to begin the restoration process, okay? So the final Jupiter Accord, according to this, many ET civilizations that were stationed throughout the outer system have been now replaced by Star Nation fleets, including Arcturian observers, Andromedan research teams, and inner Orion diplomatic envoys. And these are the good councils of Orion, those that were not aligned with the dark forces, have all agreed to realign under the Universal Federation law, which is the new organized federation, okay? The Universal Federation. And the new charter under the Universal Federation law includes, and this is what's been happening in Jupiter and in and around Jupiter, my friends. So it includes immediate cessation of any unauthorized interference with the Earth right away, okay? Transparency in interstellar resource logistics, coordinated planetary transition support, and representation for developing civilizations such as Earth in interplanetary councils. So apparently we are going to be transitioning into the 22 federated regions as revealed in my book, Our Cosmic Origin. Here's the proof. So former shadow operations in the Kuiper Belt and the Oort regions were replaced with monitoring stations focused on galactic resonance calibration and solar system-wide stabilization, now co-governed by restored Federation, linked ETs, and Solar Warden envoys. So the Jupiter Summit ended today on the 12th of November. And so today on the 12th of November, and by the way, it is the 12th of November, 2025. And yes, my friends, we are still on a positive timeline trajectory. So today on the 12th of November, a historic meeting just completed itself in the atmosphere of Jupiter's hosted at the Jupiter Command orbital platform embedded within the gas giant's magnetosphere, which is a location shielded from most known surveillance systems. So the attendings involved, and again, this meeting went on since 2 days ago, included the Atlas Central Node, which is a via bioplasmic avatar that is on Atlas. Again, that's us in the future as bioplasmic entities, right? Solar Warden High Command, which is our secret interplanetary police force. They were also there in attendance. And of course, the Jupiter Command Council that represents the long-term solar system custodianship in alignment with the United Federation of Planets of the Association of Worlds, which pertains to our local star cluster. Okay. So if you're unfamiliar with these terms, again, it helps if you take my class, Our Cosmic Origin. I break all this cosmic stuff in greater detail, the different councils, all kinds of stuff. So it also includes what happened today in the finalization of the final Jupiter Accord was that the envoys from the liberated ET factions across the Kuiper Belt and Oort cloud be, of course, let's just call them, have the right to return back to their planets. That's the best way to describe it, okay? So to formally grant Earth-based humanity progressive access, so the agenda, okay, the agenda on the Earth is to formally grant the Earth-based humanity's progressive access to the interplanetary colony network, including the infrastructure, the trade routes, and biosphere technology that was seeded across the outer solar system over the last 500 years. So apparently these breakaway groups were also time traveling 500 years into our past, and we're establishing colonies as far back as then. So according to this accord is that all of these trade routes, all of these off-world colonies and bases are going to be actually given to us, which is pretty cool. And this is not a simple disclosure. It is a civilizational integration. Okay, so now regarding the interplanetary colony network, that is, of course, being ready for us to take over when the ascension takes place, or as we become part of a type 1 civilization. There are no fewer than 73 significant installations currently scattered across the outer regions, okay, according to classified 12 Omega level, mining colonies that were built into frozen dwarf planets, biogenetic research labs studying solar radiation long-term effects are still there, staging hubs for the reestablishment of interstellar trade routes. Well, apparently those were closed off due to the Earth's quarantine. So that makes a lot of sense why they are reestablishing these interstellar trade routes, because the Earth is going to be once again the hub of the greatest intergalactic exchange center of, technology and information. So also, ancient outposts predating human history with dormant tech is going to be given to us. So Earth will have access to these colonies, and this will begin in different phases of the integration process. So the first is the observation team Earthborn scientists, the ACIO representatives. They're going to be able to disclose everything that they've been hiding from us, thank God. Thanks to Project Aurora, for those that have been paying attention. Also, technology exchange hubs are going to be established, like Zero Point Energy there, as we begin, again, interstellar trade, gravity manipulation, atmospheric conversion tech as well. Cultural exchange units are also going to be taking place there, training for diplomatic. A lot of people ask me, well, am I going to be part of the Universal Federation or the Galactic Alliance? Yes, you are. For ethical and cosmic law orientation as we become part of a greater galactic and interstellar culture. And this move is being made cautiously but decisively based on Atlas assessment that the Earth's consciousness threshold has now crossed the required baseline for external engagement without collapse. Thank God. Okay, so again, guys, we are on a positive timeline trajectory. So the decisions to grant Earth access to these colonies as a result of the final Jupiter Accord that took place in the last 2 days is nothing short of the end of planetary isolation. It will accelerate, guys, within a matter of 12 months to 18 months, our planet into a type 1 civilization. Okay, it will collapse obsolete or unworkable geopolitical systems like the New World Order that was centered around fossil fuel energy, right, and material scarcity, into a system where infrastructures are going to be living off of free energy technology. Also, it's going to place Earth into the larger galactic narrative from which it has been hidden for eons. And last but not least, it's going to end the secrecy surrounding the breakaway groups, Solar Warden, ACIO, and off world human presence. So, with the corrupt Federation finally removed, thank God, and the Earth aligned with the true Universal Federation, as we are now known, the Kuiper-Oort Belt and Oort installations now stand as gateways rather than prisons. So, the Jupiter meeting that took place definitely marked a defining moment in human history, and not through mainstream headlines, right? But in the ether of interstellar diplomacy. But eventually, yes, it's going to be through the mainstream headlines. So, as the Earth is once again being welcomed not as a subordinate, but as a rising civilization, guys, finally earning its rightful place among the stars. So, that is the message that came through regarding what happened with the final Jupiter Accord. And there is more, of course. So, it all has, excuse me, it also has been brought to my attention, Galactic Jedi's, that the Earth Alliance through Trump is trying to put an end to all the wars at this time because of what's happening from behind the scenes. Okay, this could only happen if we divert from the current geopolitical conflicts that have been taking place. So, as a result, one of the most profound of these moments is now unfolding as hidden alliances with ancient knowledge and interstellar cooperation begin to converge to put the Earth in a positive timeline. So, at the center of this is a multi dimensional, let's call it, operation that is working through, of course, the real Donald J. Trump. Okay. So, few are aware of the classified program that is currently known by the highest members of the Earth Alliance, which is an interintelligence initiative overseen by the Earth Alliance Coalition. This network of high level operatives and off world advisors function as a bridge between humanity's current geopolitical systems and the advanced civilizations of the galaxy. Now, they also want me to let you guys know that the 3-eye atlas is not just referring to the third interstellar object, with Oumuamua and Borisov, right, being the first and second, but it also refers to the interplanetary, interdimensional, and intertemporal, because it's also a timeline scenario where we did win the timeline war, thank God. Cooperation in the highest levels, okay? That's how they know it in the highest levels. Well, the three spheres, right, interdimensional, interplanetary, and intertemporal, is very necessary for humanity's ascension into the greater cosmic community. So it is said that during his presidency, as he is now in his second term, um, Trump was briefed on the Atlas situation. So the real Trump, not the fake Trump, knows about the Atlas situation, gaining awareness of humanity's suppressed technologies more so than ever, the extraterrestrial treatises, and of course the immense deception that was woven by the military-industrial complex. So, as part of the Earth Alliance coalition, in partnership with the benevolent forces of the ETs and within global military networks as well, Trump has been entrusted with a monumental mission, and that is to prevent a chain of wars that would have escalated into a third world war, which would lead to catastrophe. Okay. In order to prepare the world for integration into a reorganized universal federation of benevolent star nations as we become part of a type 1 civilization. That is fascinating. Okay. So, we could say that the old Overall, it is important to also understand, my friends, that the Federation wasn't always corrupt. Okay, as revealed in my book, Our Cosmic Origin, the original Federation was established for good in response to the expansion of the Orion Draco Empire. For those that have taken my course, you understand galactic history, and so for decades, of course, for millennium rather, it was a good organization until about a few years ago when Enki returned, and now this has, of course, once again been restructured in favor of the light um, since its dismantling of the dark forces into the Universal Federation. Okay. I did reveal this for the first time in my prior life, so I'm just letting you guys know once again that the Galactic Alliance, due to their win against the corrupt Galactic Federation, has now reorganized with all the other rogue ET groups and into, of course, the Universal Federation. Okay, so and they are all in support of the Great Awakening on planet Earth. They are all in support of the Great Awakening on planet Earth. Throughout time, okay, before the Galactic Federation was infiltrated, they are what the Bible calls the host of heaven, okay, the star nations. And according to ancient histories, they were the ancient overseers of planetary evolution that have, of course, pledged to ensure that the Earth completes its transition phase successfully before the current reality construct comes to an end in 2028. Okay, so they have always been tasked with that. And of course, this reality construct that refers to the holographic matrix of timelines that define the Earth's physical and spiritual experience is a what? A false reality matrix, right? They call it a hologram or the 3D. So as this construct winds down, and I think I mentioned this before, that this construct was initiated by the fallen Anunnaki at the collapse of the Atlantean era in order to keep us in a low level of reality. So as this construct continues to decline, humanity faces the opportunity to step into the next octave of existence, as to why Project Aurora and, of course, the finalization of the Jupiter Accords has been a success. Okay. So the Earth Alliance, supported by the Federation, again, if you're just jumping on, I would watch this from the beginning. Okay. Um, the Earth Alliance, supported by the new Universal Federation, has planned a massive global disclosure event that is scheduled to begin as early as 2026, right? Knowing that the current reality construct comes to an end in 2028. This is going to be a huge data dump beginning in 2026, one thing after another, okay? They will release decades of suppressed information, which is the true meaning of apocalypse, right? The book Revelation. Hidden technologies, secret space programs, which will end the flat earth psyop in the fishbowl theory, energy solutions, extraterrestrial contact records, and proof of interdimensional life forms that have always coexisted in the oceans, in the inner earth, in our reality, but on a different vibrational frequency for millennium. So this data dump, okay, is going to start in 2026. So the military industrial complex that has long been complicit in secrecy because of the Majestic 12 will be forced. And by the way, Majestic 12's ring over the secrecy did end back in 2017 and 18. That's when the arrests began, if you guys recall. Well, they did go after the chairman, the real chairman of MJ12, and then the other guys. Okay, so um, the military industrial complex, right, who has long been complicit in secrecy, will be forced to yield to the transparency of the new frequencies of truth, dismantling the old structures of deception. So, as Earth prepares for its final introduction into the galactic community, humanity is being called to elevate consciousness, embrace unity, and remember its true cosmic heritage. So, with the guidance of the Earth Alliance and the benevolent Universal Federation, as they are now known, and with the help of the reforms that are taking place, and of course with Trump trying to end all the wars and move us from oil-based energy, fossil fuels, to hydrogen and free energy, this is going to be great. Okay, we as a planet are more closer to becoming a golden age, more so than ever. Okay, so the next 3 years, as we end the current reality construct in 2028, will bring both turbulence and awakening like no other. Okay, a greater truth is going to be shining beginning in 2026, and some people believe that the first wave of ascension could be as earlier as December 21st, when Atlas, it's in its closest proximity to the Earth, as it also correlates with this planetary alignment that is about to take place. So it's best to be prepared, guys, okay? Because I did mention that there's going to be 3 waves of ascension into the new Earth, okay? So in the of course in the progress of our change or transitioning into a Type 1 civilization. So eventually, the great truth that humanity was never alone, guys, and that our allies from the stars have always been around and is going to be revealed at a mass scale. Okay. And so across the multidimensional lattice, I want to also talk about a different thing that it's very important to understand regarding the resurrection of celestial temple networks that were again initiated by the pre-Lyrans, the early Lyrans, the first Lyrans, and Prime Aurelius. Now, this next bit of information, guys, actually came to me through one of the Galactic Jedis, based on a channeling or transmission that they got from their galactic family, which of course resonated and allowed me to search the intergalactic records regarding more information about the what is known as the Celestial Temple Network, which is a living architecture of crystalline temples spanning many different galaxies. Okay, well, it is known within the interstellar records across the multidimensional lattice of creation that there does exist an intricate network of light that is known to the galactic and cosmic community as the Celestial Temple Network, which is a living architecture spanning many different galaxies, dimensions, and epochs. Well, these temples are not structures in the conventional sense. They are resonant holograms of divine geometry that are anchored both within and beyond the material continuum. So among them, the Auralis, which is Earth, right, 200,000 years in the future, relocated at the center of our galaxy, and the Illyrian temples, which began in Lyra, hold particular profound roles, serving as primary nodes through which the living consciousness of Source, right, the one infinite mind, which is everything, the unimind, flows into the evolving realities of Earth and her star counterparts. So, the Temple of Aurealis, which originates from the Lyran Venusian lineage, Venusian as in Venus, which is a heritage that carries the codes of ancient sovereignty and crystalline resurrection, are activating at this time due to the restoration taking place. So within its halls, there are woven of solar plasma light and incandescent crystalline filaments. There is this thing called the flame of purity that burns eternally, and this corresponds with the great central sun, the core of each sphere, right? Well, this flame is neither metaphor nor symbol, but an actual living frequency that calibrates planetary grids, restoring them to harmonic alignment with the solar logos. What the solar logos is the planetary mind, the galactic mind that aligns with the universal mind, right? The great central hubs, and the cosmic heart of Lyra, where the original Earth, which is 8th dimensional Earth, originated. And it's funny because when we evolve 200,000 years from now into Aurelius Prime Earth, that is Earth in the 9th dimension. Okay, so it's kind of interesting how we originated in the 8th dimensional Earth in Lyra on planet Avion. And for those who read my book, Our Cosmic Origin, you do know that our planet is a reincarnating chunk of Avion, the original homeworld, before it was destroyed by the Draco. and how, of course, Primordius evolves into ninth dimensional Earth, future Earth. It's fascinating, okay? So the flame is neither a metaphor, the flame of purity, which burns eternally, okay? It resonates as the, of course, logos and the cosmic heart. The Auralis temple functions as a resonance temple emanating waves of crystalline fire that sweep through the Earth's morphogenetic fields at this time. These currents, my friends, harmonize the ley lines and crystalline grids, reawakening the memory of the divine orders that were once stationed on Earth during pre Adamic times, right? And other epochs. And I think I mentioned the six pre-Adamic epochs before this one. Well, this energy flow through the sacred earth sites are activating Glastonbury. It's also activating the site at Montségur, which is in France, right? Montségur. The Knights Templars had access to the secret knowledge. And of course, Jerusalem and Mount Shasta, okay? And these points were the inner and outer worlds. This is the points where the inner and outer worlds meet, okay? Where future Earth is connected to the different versions of Earth, all the way to the, well, we used to be the 5D Earth before we fell into the 3D Earth. So these points where the inner and outer worlds meet, where human consciousness can still touch the higher temples in meditations or dreams, are about to be turned on. That is great news, okay? So guardians of the Auralis temple, and you know who you are, right, are the flame dragons, the solar seraphim, and yes, there are incarnated starseeds that are considered the solar seraphim and the flame dragons, and initiates of the golden Lyran priestess line are going to once again be the guardians of these. So the flame dragons that now are fully re-entered to the Earth's energetic field. And again, these are benevolent guardian dragons. They're not to be associated with the red dragon, which is Lucifer. Okay, those are two different entities, or the draconian dragon, which is the dark forces. So these flame dragons now fully return to Earth's energetic field, encircle the temple in radiant spirals of golden sapphire. So these are not dragons of wrath or myth, but elder solar beings, embodiments of transmutation flames and resurrection light. Their presence signifies the renewal of the Earth's covenant with the solar architect councils. And who are the solar architect councils? The guardians at the center of our galaxy from Aurelius Prime, right? Us in the future. Ensuring that the sovereignty is restored to all sentient life forms that are ready to reawaken to their divine nature. So the Illyrian temples, as they are known, is the harmonic bridge. And its counterpart in the crystalline inner realms served as a harmonic bridge between density layers, where Aurelius radiates the resurrection flame, and of course it weaves it with the symphony of integration. And what's happening right now, the earth is being reintegrated to her original glory. All right, so let's continue here. So where our Aurelius Prime, which is Earth 200,000 years from now, is activating the temples once again here during its, during our present time, which is Earth 200,000 years in the past, okay? It is activating those temples. They're called the Resurrection Flame. That is currently activating those sites that I mentioned. And they are in turn to balance the masculine and feminine solar harmonics that are guiding civilizations through cycles of ascension and embodiment as I speak. So it's the Earth isn't the only one that's ascending. Okay, there are many different planets that are also undergoing ascension throughout the galaxy as a result of this. So the Illyrian currents from the Illyrian temples flow through the crystalline inner Earth. Thank you so much for the water. Connecting to the Aurelian rays above, forming a toroidal exchange of ascension energy that nourishes planetary evolution. Well, together, Auralis, which is Earth 200,000 years from now, And the Illyrian temples, they act as two poles of the same cosmic instrument. Okay, the Illyrian temples that are now being activated here on planet Earth. Um, one radiating the resurrection fire, and the other sustaining the harmonic field that allows form to ascend into light without fragmentation. Let me repeat that again. Together, Aurealis, Earth 200,000 years from now, and the Illyrian temples, which is Earth now being activated, are two poles of the same cosmic instrument, one that is radiating the resurrection fire, the other sustaining the harmonic field that allows form to ascend into light without fragmentation. So the arrival of the flame dragons marks the activation of the next phase in the Earth's ascension timeline. Emerging through solar gateway opened during recent galactic alignments, these elder dragons encircle the temple of Aurora with luminous coils of transmutation flame. They are solar architects in motion, living frequencies of divine order and resurrection, and through their work, the crystalline grids are being infused with solar codes that restore the Earth's original blueprint as a planetary temple of the living light. Well, this message that is coming from the intergalactic archives is one of sovereignty through purity, resurrection through remembrance. The flame dragons prepare humanity for contact with the higher order civilizations that form part of the galactic solar councils, who steward the evolution of star systems toward unity consciousness. So, in the distant future, approximately 200,000 years from now, our current timeline, Earth transcends her planetary face, evolving into Aurelius Prime Type 3 civilization. Right? We are barely going to be transitioning into a Type 1. So it's going to be about 200,000 years before the Earth Terrans from level Type 1, fourth density Earth, Star Trek, are able to ascend to Type 3 galactic status. Okay? So, this is good. So as the Earth, again, evolves into Aurelius Prime, 200,000 years from now, a living world temple and a Type 3 galactic civilization within the cosmic registry is going to connect with our current Earth through 3i Atlas, okay? Building an interstellar interconnected intelligence that is securing the positive organic timeline, okay? Now, from that vantage, my friends, Aurelius Prime is not merely a planet, but a conscious starship world, a radiant crystalline sphere whose biosphere harmonizes with the solar architect network that oversees galactic evolution. The flame dragons, the solar seraphim, and the Aurelian priesthood are merging currently with the planetary oversoul, forming the solar architect conclave. This conclave guides the creation and balance of new star systems, weaving galaxies into symphonic networks of crystalline intelligence. I love that. According to several records that were transmitted from the Jupiter Command through Commander Valiant Thor to me, there is, we could say that from the Lyran and Andromedan streams, the Auralians and Illyrian temples exist as time-anchored resonance points, which is the work being done through these temples today is the seed phase of Aurelius Prime, the point where the Earth's ascension trajectory begins to merge with her highest potential timeline. Yes, the 3i Atlas already holds the holographic blueprint of this future civilization. All right, securing its existence 200,000 years from now, feeding back information through the temporal lattice, right, across time, so that our current collective can receive the codes necessary to fulfill the destiny. So each human being who aligns with their inner temple, which is you, through the heart, right, as we build coherence with the mind, and the solar central, which is what? The sacred heart, and the Auralian frequency, which is your ninth dimensional. Come to find out, it's the ninth dimensional you as a pure plasma being, yet being able to interface or shift into bio, right, physical form and back into plasma. That's us in the future, guys. Okay, so through that, you become a living conduit of this network. That is the message for all of you. Meditation at sacred sites, or if you're not around sacred sites, well, I am because I live in Sedona. Sedona happens to be one of the earth chakras, thank God. So even if you're not around sacred sites, you could also conduct these meditations to connect with this living temple in nature, okay? Invocating the flame of purity, guys. You guys all have homework. Start doing that at least once a day, okay? That will strengthen the global lattice, okay, of the resurrected living temples. So through these actions, my friends, the collective human field will begin to harmonize with the celestial temple network. That is what? Accelerating the timeline of the Earth's transfiguration back into the original Earth, the sacred timeline. Okay. As the elder flame dragons encircle the planet as I speak right now, and as the temples of light pulse awake once more, and as 3i Atlas projects its luminous echoes into our present, we now stand at the threshold of remembrance. And this is why they call it integration, right? Multidimensional integration. That's what I've been calling it for years. This is the evidence. Earth is not only ascending, she is remembering her future. The radiant heart of Aurelius Prime, which is Earth as a Type 3 civilization 200,000 years from now, home of the solar architects, which is us 200,000 years from now, we become guardians of the galactic destiny. So yes, guys, our future self are the guardians of this galactic destiny that has traveled back in time. Oh my God. Okay, it keeps getting better and better, but I hope that some of you really understand today's transmission. I would suggest to probably watch this a couple of times if you can. If you guys could give me one moment, about a minute, I do have to go to the bathroom. 1 minute. I'll be back in a minute. All right, guys, I am back. So, for those that really are trying to grasp what I explained today, I would suggest to watch this twice. So that way you guys could have a thorough understanding. Perhaps some of you guys are these solar architects, solar seraphim, and of course cosmic dragons that are now beginning to integrate with their human counterpart. I do want to welcome all 2,600 people in the house. I see Trinity in the house. I see Judy, Jean, Lee Star, Wolf Mother. Thank you so much for being here, Wolf Mother and Starcadian, and keeping the NPCs off of the chat. Who else is here? Project Skyfall, Sylvia Vidal, Pam, Starlight, Kathy Berg, Tano 2121, MJF, MRB. And all 2,000, and now 700 people that are in the chat. Thank you guys so much for being here. And this is around the time where I take Q&A. I mean, you probably have some questions regarding what I just shared, right? the finalization of the Jupiter Accords that began back in 2016. And now we are in what? Well in phase 4 of planetary ascension, right? So, and planetary liberation. This is awesome. All right. So, thank you, Ishmael. A lot of you guys are thanking me for the information. You guys are so welcome. Now, the dragons, guys, are not like physical dragons, like the dragons that we learn about in myth. You know, some of these dragons are actually gestalts or collective. They're collectives of organic consciousness that have evolved to a very high level of being, where they are just so advanced that they are considered dragons because they have like the ability to guard some of the most sacred and some of the most secret divine, you could say, let's just call them cosmic artifacts and cosmic relics, and not to mention the gates of eternity. Some of these dragons do guard the gates of eternity. So they are gestalts of collective consciousness, right? They are entities that are operating with about 48 strands of DNA. That's the best way to describe it. My first super chat from Joyful. Ishmael, have the first waivers ascended yet? Not to my knowledge, Joy, not to my knowledge. But as revealed in this presentation, there is a very good chance that we might have the first waivers ascend at the end of this year at the winter solstice conjunction, where 3 Atlas is closest to us. And of course, the 7 planets are going to be aligning. Thank you so much, Nathan Taylor, for your super chat. I think that the way this goes is that the Y-hats wait till first wave ascend humans, then finish off the last 10% of the deep state. Pretty good hypothesis. Pretty good hypothesis. I guess we're all going to find out to see how it all goes down. But what I do know, guys, that it's going to happen. This Earth is meant to become part of a galactic community. It is destined in the stars. It is prophecy. It is destiny. Okay. Earth is no longer quarantined. Earth is no longer quarantined. Oh, okay. Which chakra in Sedona? Lisa is asking. I'm not sure. Han, can you look up which chakra? Oh, so it's an offshoot of the second chakra. Okay, so it's not the main one. Okay, so she's saying that it's an offshoot of the second chakra, but it's not the main one. But it is full of portals and vortexes. I mean, there's a lot going on underneath Sedona. That's for sure. No, 3 Atlas did not disintegrate. That is part of the psyops, right? Because that's, counter positioning the Aurora project and the reformers and the finalization of the Jupiter command and all of the stuff that's been happening. So no, that is not true. Oh, and also, guys, it's important to distinguish the difference between AI deep fake videos from real videos. Okay, have discernment, guys. A lot of these videos out there on YouTube are deep fake AI generated videos. They look real, but they're not real. So just have discernment. Also, as the veil between dimensions becomes disintegrated, we are going to begin noticing the difference between real people and NPCs. So, over 30% of the population are NPCs, and pretty soon you guys are going to be able to distinguish the difference. But not to mention, when the shift takes place, the NPCs are going to be eliminated as well. So, that's good news. Are souls traps now voided out? This is a question from Myrna. I believe that up until recently, yes, within the last few weeks, thanks to 3i Atlas, all of the soul traps have been, or the souls have been freed from the soul traps. And that is a yes within the last few weeks. Thank you so much, Trudy Handelman, for your super chat. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, really quick. For my November 22nd event, it's actually going to be 1 o'clock Mountain Time to 4 o'clock Mountain Time, which is 12 o'clock Pacific to 3 o'clock Pacific time. Okay, that's because of the fact that there was time change. So just remember that. So it's going to be Mountain Time, 12 noon Pacific to 3, okay, Pacific. For those that are in the West Coast, so it's going to be Mountain Time 1 to 4. Just wanted to throw that out there for those that are attending in person. And of course, for those that are watching it on the stream, make sure you guys watch it at 12 o'clock Pacific time, 12 noon on the stream. Don't miss it because of the time difference. So, Suzanne K., thank you so much for your donation, sister. I appreciate that. Do NPCs spontaneously combust? Is asking Savvy2639. I believe that during the solar flash, they will. In fact, due to the high, you could say, amplification of these solar flares, especially within the last 2 days, as we approach the end of the year, as they will continue to become more intensified. A lot of these NPCs won't be able to hold the new vibration, so they will be disintegrating. Absolutely. Are we going to sleep 3 days after the solar flash and wake up in our higher dimension? Well, it's not that we're leaving this dimension and going into another dimension. We are reintegrating dimensions. Okay, right now the dimensions are divided through different vibrational frequencies. So, yes, we might sleep for 3 days in order to acclimate to our new avatars. As we integrate this avatar into the new avatar, they're just collapsing. So it's important to just stay centered and grounded at this time. But yeah, we might rest for 3 days. What would happen to the atheists? I don't know, Crystal Indigo. I don't know. I guess they're going to have a rude awakening, right? Well, that's why we're going to have a huge, massive disclosure where the ACIO breakaway group begins to merge with the Surface World Scientific Group. How do you know if you're an NPC? Normally, people that are NPCs don't think for themselves. They follow the herd. They have the herd mentality. So, and they just really don't have any emotion either. They have no empathy or sympathy. Very narcissistic, and all they want to do is create trouble for the real people with souls. So that's how you know if you're an NPC. You're just totally controlled by Archon entities and AIs and a bunch of black goo that is inside people's bodies. Speaking of black goo, do you guys know that there's a product that eliminates all of that stuff, nanoparticulates? Folium. I hope you guys get your Folium. For those that can, the link is always in the description. And of course, I always put it at the end of the live in the comments. So let's continue with the questions here. Thank you so much, Wolf Mother, for posting the Folium link on the chat for those that want to get their Folium right now. And right now, guys, through Perez, code Perez 2+1, you get 2 Immuna. I don't know if I have it on me. 2 Immuna. Oh, 3. I'm sorry. 3 Immuna for the price of 1. I don't have it on me. Okay, three for the price of one. It's and then of course the code for that is Perez 2 plus 1. All right, let's continue with the questions here. Can you stay inside when the solar flash happens? Absolutely. You could be anywhere, outside or inside. It's gonna penetrate even through the walls. It's gonna penetrate through everything. Thank you so much, Joyful, for the super chat. Are the CMEs very strong the last few days? Because I am exhausted. Yeah, I think a lot of people are, including myself. You feel foggy, no energy. Is it normal? Also, would you or Monica know if it's normal to lose your hair in certain areas for women? Well, the physical symptoms that you mentioned is part of the Ascension symptoms. That's a fact. As far as losing your hair, I am not sure, sister. Um, I really don't know. Uh, Monica says that you should use rosemary oil on your hair. That's what she said. Ish, if we are in the fifth D, can we go back to the 3D to try and save someone, or is there no hope for them? Well, there will be no 3D. There will only be 4D, 5D, or 6D and above for those that go into even higher octaves of Earth. So you'll be able to go back to the fourth D. Remember, the 3D is being collapsed, you could say, disintegrated, vaporized. What kind of phenomena do we experience during the solar flash? This is another great question from Enoch Chloe. Um, Access to full consciousness, reintegration of multidimensional avatars. That is something to look forward to. And again, for those that have not taken my Ascension courses, if you want to have further detailed knowledge and learn about techniques and methods that will help you undergo multidimensional integration, I do offer Ascension 2.0 and 3.0. For those that are new, that are just getting their feet wet, that have just had their awakening, I would start with Ascension Basics. So my 3-level Ascension courses, which are very cheap, only $100 a class, and each class consists of 4 weeks, 4 classes for $100, in other words, is accessible through my website, or cosmicorigin.com. So December classes begin, I believe, the last day of November, the 20th, 29th, or 30th. That's when the December classes begin. Can you take Folium if you're pregnant? I'm not sure. I'm going to have to ask Dr. Bobry and get back to you on that. Good question, though. Yes, right now there are a lot of beautiful aurora colors in the sky. I don't know if you guys are noticing them. I guess you have to be in certain parts of the world to view them. But you're asking if they're HARP or the solar storm? No, these are from the solar storm. Okay, these are happening because the result of a X.5 or 5.4 flare, was it? That was released yesterday. 5.1 X class flare that was released yesterday. So that's why that's happening. Um, Kim's Radio, thank you so much for your super chat. Keshi Foundation, September 25th, 2025, spaceship in statue. Okay, thank you for sharing that. What is it? Oh, the Spaceship Institute is in Italy, huh? Oh, the Kesh Foundation. Okay, I see. In Italy. What about them? I see. I appreciate Wolf Mother and Starcadian for being my moderators. Thank you guys so much for being here. Also, thank you, Greg Molina, for your donation. Appreciate that. Yes, we are the way showers. Thank you so much for that beautiful reminder, Pam. 909. Okay, so Kim's radio saying to watch the video. Watch the video. Is that something you sent through my email? Because I have been getting some emails with some interesting videos, and I do watch them. If you guys send me stuff, I will watch it. Thank you. I'll check it out. Yes, make sure you guys watch this, I guess, interplanetary report at least twice in order to grasp the full revelation of what's happening right now regarding the positive Earth timeline and the Great Awakening. No, the negative timeline is not going to 4D. No, 4D is going to be a positive timeline. Technically, it's going to be like a neutral timeline. Eventually, after a few hundred years, the negative timeline, which is being created through the Sentient World Simulator, 5G and cybernetics, and the digital world that big tech is building, that's going to exist in a further matrix that is going to be more digital and cybernetic, like a real matrix. That's going to exist in a different reality from the 4D timeline. So I just want to make that clarification. But yeah, at the end of the millennium, we will have a final war against the technocratic, dystopian, cybernetic type of phantom matrix timeline that will be, unfortunately, going in its own existence route for 1,000 years. Yes, Trump did sign the bill to reopen the government. That is correct. Thank you, Ishmael, for all the info. Can't wait for the in-person event on the 22nd. Well, awesome. Can't wait to see you too, sister. Why are we still getting our sky sprayed? Is asking Sheila Marie, especially here in Arizona. Yes, I know. I've noticed. Not a good thing. Not a good thing. But what I do know is that Sedona is going to be one of the first established interplanetary cities, and before the rest of the planet has them. So I feel that's going to end very soon, sister. Let's just hope. But I do know that with these new things that are happening from behind the scenes, it's those chemtrails aren't going to last very long. Will brutal force be used to guarantee disclosure? Not at all. Seems to require it. No, not at all. Not at all. This is a question from Ama Tevio. Ama Tevio. Not at all. Greg says, can you answer my question via Zelle? I'm looking at my Zelle email and I don't have any questions from you, Eddie. I don't, unfortunately. I don't know if you're sending it to the right email, but my email for Zelle is projectrestorationzion@gmail.com, all one word. Will Trump finish his full term? Um, that's a very, very good question. Um, I believe he is. I know there's some speculation. I know, guys, that there's some speculation that he might step down due to some health issues at the end of 2026. But you have to understand that the real Trump, right? Not the actors, not the clones. The real Trump has access to medbed technology. So why would he step down due to health issues? It just makes no sense. I don't think he is, to be quite frank. I don't think he is. Oh, Greg says I just mentioned his name. Greg, I didn't get no question though from you. What's your question? Greg, if you actually write your question in the chat, I will go ahead and answer your question. So go ahead and write your question, Greg. Will there be able to clean up all the contamination of the Earth? Yeah, of course. That's part of the final Jupiter Accord that was put into motion within the last couple of days. I think I did mention that earlier. And part of the merging of the secret breakaway interplanetary ACIO with, of course, surface world technology. So yeah, that's part of the unfolding on the positive timeline, Earth. Greg is asking me, why can we learn telepathy now? You could. It takes a lot of dedication, meditative techniques, breathing, and of course, being able to access the right brainwave frequency to execute telepathy. But bear in mind, Greg, that when we undergo multidimensional integration with our galactic avatars, depending on how many dimensions you're able to integrate with, telepathy is going to come naturally to you. Okay, so just mind, be mindful of that. Great question, though. Yeah, guys, everything's supposed to fall, not just the financial system, the educational system, the way we do medicine. Everything is supposed to collapse. Government, everything. Okay, so with this new planetary renaissance that is unfolding, we're going to be seeing the collapsing of everything. So the answer to that is yes. All right, guys, we are over the 90-minute period. And I encourage you all to watch this at least a couple of times. Today, I kind of went a little bit deeper, but it's okay. It's time that we all know how the positive timeline was secured, right? It is an interdimensional, interplanetary, and intertemporal success by the forces of light operating on every level of reality. May the God Force be with you all, and I will see you guys Saturday for another update. May the God Force be with you all.